Hi, everybody. Today I just wanted to kind of cover a little bit about germination because there's a lot of super complicated information out there. Um, and for the most part, it's all totally unnecessary and overkill. Certainly, when you get into, say, fruit bearing, nut bearing trees, when you get into that kind of area, then yeah, there's going to be some some extras that aren't totally straight up practical and easy. But when it comes to just your vegetables, your tomatoes, um, watermelons, etc., it's pretty simple. Essentially, all I do is just take two, like all the paper towels seems to be halved now in those half pieces. So I take two of those, I wet them, and then I put some seeds on them, and then fold them up, comme ça. Maybe squeeze out a little bit of the extra water that might happen to be there. One seed escaped, but that's okay. There's plenty in there. And then you want to keep them in a container like this. Number one, because they have a hermetic environment, meaning they're not going to be introduced to too many foreign pathogens. Make sure this container is clean. I just use clear food containers repurposed for this. I think that's wise and responsible and ethical. Don't use them for more than one season. But yeah, it's that simple. Here's some sunflowers. Check them daily. And the reason is, um, you know, regardless of whether they say they're disease free, spore free, etc., free, that's not 100% of the time. So you may find when you open this up that you're going to find one that looks really unhealthy after just a day. Okay, so this one's black, black, black. There's literally no coloring. Doesn't look like any other seeds. Secondly, it's kind of depositing a black substance there that the other ones are not. So I'm just going to remove that one and hope that it hasn't introduced any pathogens or anything. You could at this stage decide, okay, well, that may be spores or something like that. Maybe I should, and you could start over with a fresh paper towel. I'm not going to. I'm not too worried about it. Just keep an eye on them daily like that. It's very quick and simple, very easy. In addition to being a hermetic environment, this is also going to keep your seeds nice and warm while they're germinating. They want to be warm. Um, and yes, they want it. They don't want to be in direct sunlight. Now, that's the purpose of the paper towel. That's why I'm using clear bins. These are going to warm up during the day so that in this window at night, as you can see, it's still winter here, hence all the snow. I was shoveling snow this morning. Um, this window is going to get a little chilly at night, but because I've superheated the air inside here, it's actually going to hold the same temperature roughly as it was when the sun went down for a few hours. And that's pretty handy. Propagation light, very simple, $20 light from Amazon. This is a full spectrum. It's got the red lights, blue lights, white lights, yellow lights, etc. That just plugs into a wall through a block like your phone would. And that's just because I'm propagating very small area, very few plants. I don't want to burn a bunch of power because it's still winter. And if I want them to be maximally growing, then I'm going to give them 16 hours of sun every day until they go outside. Because I'm giving them light 16 hours a day, I now can't actually put them outside without a light until late May here. It'll be different for your area. You'll have to look that up. Now, at that point, they will still have light because they'll be out in that greenhouse there that will be. I'll put the cover on that this weekend or next weekend. Or, sorry, not this weekend, the next weekend or the one after. And then they'll have light and that'll keep them thriving. Essentially, they can all tell time. They all know what the sun's doing. So if I'm giving them a grow light to germinate and to start their propagation, and they're getting 16 hours of light a day, and then that suddenly starts to go down, what you can end up doing, and not all plants do this, particularly the nightshades are going to be way less I guess, prone to thinking that it's fall. Um, but other than that, you're going to find that a lot of these are sensitive to the cucumbers, especially would be very sensitive. The watermelons to fall because they literally do their thing mostly in the fall. So that's your thing is if you're giving it 16 hours of light and then you take it outside in April and there's only 13 hours of light outside in April, you could kick them. You could tell them time to go to seed, uh, do whatever fruiting you can, and then we're going to become dormant for the year, and then that's the end of your crop. So if you do want to start them early, give them a nice head start. Um, it's a good idea because, like, I'm going to have probably 2 foot tomato plants when they go outside, and that's just going to give me a better harvest. And the same with the potatoes. The potatoes are started in the other room. Potato germination's a little bit of a different thing, right? They have the eyes. Those are uh, actually sprouts, right? Those are new forming plants. And one thing you don't want to do, I mean, lots of people do it, but they'll just plant their seed potatoes straight into dirt. The problem with that is two things. When you look at a potato, there's going to be a side of the potato that has more eyes. It's going to have more the little holes where the eyes come out of, and that's called the potato crown. And you want to put that up. So this one would be up because this is the crown. Additionally, you're going to if you're planting it whole. I personally don't plant them whole. I wait until the eyes come out, and then I will literally make one seed for each sprout. So this one that's still just one sprout there, right? Let's find one that has multiples here. Uh, Actually, most of these are pretty good. These are French fingerlings, so maybe they're not so heavy with eyes, but there is one starting there. So what I would do is split this in half. Now, one thing you could do, and then I would plant two separate seeds, at least 6 inches apart. The reason is you don't want a whole bunch of plants growing off of one root system. And what'll happen is if I plant this up, and say there was 4 more eyes, and I planted this upward like this, that little sprout's going to go towards the sunlight. It's going to grow upward, and then other eyes are going to also do the same. But one root system is going to come out of the bottom of this potato. And one root system is not going to be enough to supply all of that vegetation, all of the stalk, leaf, and branch, and give your potato enough starch to develop its sugar properly and grow big enough. So you don't want that. You want one stem, one root system. So chop them up so that there's only one stem per plant. Here's another one with two. See, that's got one there, one there, one there, one there, right? So what have we got here? The crown is the small end, right? So I'm going to cut that into 3 off of the crown, 2 off of the other end. One thing that some people do, and you probably would do this commercially, is you would, for instance, okay, so here's one that's cut. Now, that's generally what they're going to do when they're cut, right? They're not going to rot. They're actually have an immune system that's going to protect that area. But you can encourage that by getting some food grade sulfur or Epsom salts, works as well. And you would just dunk this like so. And that what it's going to do is create like a leathery film here, like the potato skin, and that's going to protect it from spores and little microbes and little bugs and all these things. You can do that. I don't. I've never had a problem with it, so I don't. But you can. It's just Epsom salt. It's really cheap. Um, so now I've got here these guys. These were the ones that had the biggest sprouts. A couple of them, like that one there, for instance, is the potato is right at the bottom of this. So that's a 4 inch sprout already. So that's going really nicely. And that's the way it'll go. The sprout will leap up out of the soil. The first one up is the winner. The other ones that come up, I will just break them off and encourage it to be one single stalk. And that's the way that you want to go. And we'll get more into potatoes later on in the season. There's a lot that goes into that. I grew 1,400 potatoes last year in 600 square feet of soil. So I have a pretty good sense of that. I've been doing it for years. I really love potatoes. That's Celtic heritage, although they are a Peruvian plant, for those of you who don't know. They were discovered in Peru along with tomatoes by the conquistador. Anyway, that's uh, that's the tips and tricks for germination. You can buy your seeds at a store, which is fully legitimate, or you can be like me and you buy the seeds initially, get some good ones, right? And then as you harvest your cucumbers, those are right from my cucumbers, your yellow peppers, your watermelons, etc. Well, those are hollyhock seeds. Those are pretty cool. Um, and then you have your own seeds, and you don't have to worry about it. Okay. Here's some more. These are F1 tomatoes, which I haven't started any of yet. I've just done beefsteaks and Manitobas. But yeah, then you can buy your seeds once, and then just uh, start developing your own seed bank. This is just a little. This is the ones that I'm working on right now. I have an entire drawer over there in the living room, which is all my seed bank. I think I have 113 varieties in there from years of gardening and never getting rid of them and always taking care of them. And later on in the season, we'll talk about how you can make sure that you're only keeping fertile seeds. Make sure that you're uh, going to have more or less disease-free seeds, and even how to know whether they're male or female seeds. In some cases, like cucumbers and peppers, where that's really important. It's not important with tomatoes and things like that. But some plants, very important to know which is which and to plant one of each, companion garden them, and you'll get better cross pollination, and then you'll get a better yield, etc. So, next video that I'm going to put out is going to be on how to encourage and train your plant and almost force it in a way to have really good root systems. There's a number of ways that I do that. There's this. Mine is a 4-step process. So by the time, for instance, this little tomato got into here, it already went through 3 steps of root training, and the roots for this tomato were down to here, even when it was that big. And the reason is because each root on a tomato plant will end up being a flower, which will end up being a fruit. So the more roots you have, the more fruits. More roots equals more fruits. Every fruit is going to have one water-bearing root and one oxygen-bearing root. And that's very important. Air roots are relatively unknown to most people. This is newer tech. This is newer information, and it's really only been mastered and really become mainstream thanks to Professor Kratky. Now, that's going to be it for today. That's what we're going to cover next time. How to establish your roots once you've got some good germination happening, and you got guys like this, and you want to make sure that they have good roots before you start uh, investing soil and other nutrients and things. And we'll also talk about what type of nutrient you can use and how to do that for almost absolutely free. Thanks, everybody. Talk soon. Bye.